Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me in this short class on why everyone has nutritional deficiencies. We're going to go over many of these nutrients and explain the common symptoms and causes for nutritional deficiencies. And we're going to find once you hear about these symptoms that we are going to realize that everybody has some nutritional deficiencies. My name's Kabir Southwick, Ayurvedic doctor and pharmacist in practice 27 years, and the founder of herbmanteas.com, the sponsor of today's class. So, if we look at nutrition in general, we know that many fat soluble vitamins like D, E, and A are stored in our liver, and we don't need even to consume them every day. But the most of these vitamins, like B and C, the B vitamins, and are mostly water soluble. So, that means that we need to replenish them every single day. The three main causes I see of nutritional deficiencies is one, extreme diets. We see this very common where people have left out entire food groups. There's people now just eating meat and fat and not having any fruit because they didn't think that the original man carnivore was eating fruit. And then they have, of course, low vitamin C deficiency, which was common with sailors, which is why they took and had lemons so they didn't get scurvy. And now we get it today because people are scared of having fruit. For other reasons, sometimes people just associate fruit with sugar, and all sugar is bad and it's going to lead to cancer. So they leave out fruit. A lot of confusing information out there. Other extreme diets like the vegan diet, where you've left off all your sources of protein. Of course, if you're going to be a vegetarian, you should have some beans and some dairy, like other vegetarians in the world do. And you need your beans. So, unfortunately, some vegans we'll say some vegetarians have no beans and then have protein deficiency. And then there's some vegans who have no beans and no dairy, and they can have protein deficiency. They can have uh, they can even have certain B vitamin deficiencies, particularly if they're not having grains as well, because the B vitamins are coming from the grains and the meat, animal protein, and of course the B12 is a common deficiency with the vegetarian. And there are, of course, plant sources, but they may not be taking enough. So any diet that's, restrictive and isn't broad, you're not having fruits, vegetables, grains, and, some people need animal protein, other people don't. There's no one size fits all for everyone. And then the other causes of broad causes of nutritional deficiencies is just malabsorption. And of course, extreme cases of malabsorption usually are with IBS and, irritable bowel diseases and uh, Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. These inflammatory colon conditions end up, you know, providing malabsorption, and then the person just gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and there's a lot of nutritional deficiencies taking place. And unfortunately, when you have these inflammatory colon conditions, it's very hard to take most vitamins because they're synthetic. The other major cause of nutritional deficiencies is actually medications for people taking diuretic medications like antibiotics, PPIs. They usually have like magnesium deficiencies. Then there's each different medications can lead to different types of deficiencies. Like most pain medications can leave you short in manganese, and there's other medications that are specific to certain nutrients that create some deficiency, because all medications just are blockers or inhibitors. They're inhibiting or blocking some metabolic process. Unlike nutrients like vitamins, they're giving something. Medication is generally blocking something or constricting, like uptake inhibitors, calcium blockers. So there's kind of a negative action that they're doing. Well, vitamins are doing something positive. And of course, herbs are more therapeutic, treating generally organs and systems. But many health issues can result from nutritional deficiencies. So let's go through these. And, I do want to say there's a big difference in the quality of supplements. I mean, there's a lot of trash supplements on the market, and you should really be buying only food based supplements. I have another class on this subject that I've spoken on more than once about using whole food supplements, and even food-based supplements like chlorella, wheatgrass, and things like this that are kind of true superfoods, and these are good. So we're just going to talk about these common deficiencies today and not talk so much about the cure. This is another subject. I'll probably do a little short talk on each one. But let's start with fatty acid deficiency. Of course, most people, are thinking of omega-3s, but omega-6s are also essential fatty acids. So really both are needed. It's more the ratio that's important. And it is true. A lot of people have an imbalance and don't have enough omega-3s. But one of the signs of these fatty acid deficiencies is dry, flaky, scaly skin. And of course, clients with eczema, rashes, and, itchy skin, for example, we always should increase these um, fatty acids. I didn't bring my omega-3s here. I have my cod liver oil here, but I failed to bring um, my fish oil. But this is, the one of the key signs, and this is what we call rough skin, on the back of the arms. They call it like chicken skin. This is one of the signs of fatty acid deficiency. And the people who get it, of course, are the people who are on low fat diets. So, and of course, essential fatty acid is very important in your brain health, hormonal imbalance, because you need these fats for your hormones. So people with low fat diets and particularly fatty acid deficiency can have hormonal problems. And then, of course, also inflammation can be exacerbated by fatty acid deficiency. So usually just take fish oil, more oil in the diet, ghee, and some cod liver oil. If you have this deficiency. Calcium deficiency, of course, though, it's easy to look at by your fingernails. If you have fragile fingernails and little white spots on the fingernails and brittle fingernails, or particularly if the doctor tells you if osteopenia or arthritis, a type of low bone density condition, then, for sure you have low calcium. And again, buy a food-based calcium, not the cheap calcium. But, also signs of tooth decay, twitching, numbness, cracking, even irregular heartbeat. And sometimes even calcium helps with high blood pressure. But it's who gets it? People who are doing dairy-free diets, because that's our best source of calcium is in dairy. And calcium supports bone health, number one, even muscle functioning. That's why when we don't get enough, we can get uh, nerve cramps and nerve signaling, so we can get tingling and numbness. Now, any one of these symptoms doesn't mean you have the deficiency. Usually, I look for like multiple symptoms and that before I determine. But if I know a person is dairy free and they're having spots on their nails and they have, irregular heartbeat and brittle, osteopenia, then it's obvious. It's usually the diet that's leading me to the direction of where the deficiency will be. Now, magnesium, very popular, of course. One of the main reasons people start taking magnesium is to relax their muscles, and that's why it can help with high blood pressure because it relaxes the heart muscles. But one of the textbook symptoms is just muscle cramps or spasms or restless leg syndrome or irregular heartbeat or heart palpitations. But even magnesium, since it supports not just your muscles, but your nerves, then, it can help with sleeping, insomnia, anxiety, restlessness, tingling, numbness. Other symptoms are sensitivity to light. And another kind of unknown symptom is craving chocolate, which we know is high in magnesium. And that's another way to determine deficiencies is to interpret the cravings. See, cravings are another sign. There's causes, like we know you're doing a diet that's restrictive in this nutrient. That's one cause. And if you have malabsorption, that's another cause. But and then there's all these symptoms, this is called symptom-based nutritional deficiency assessment. But it should be symptoms and cravings. Cravings is another sign. Now, chromium is an interesting deficiency, and chromium used to be very popular. It had its fad days for weight loss because it helps regulate blood sugar and fat metabolism, and it can, create fatigue if you're deficient. And many overweight people whose blood sugar doesn't come down with the herbs, I find out, are chromium deficient. So generally people who have diabetes or high blood sugar and a lot of cravings, particularly craving carbohydrates, and they're gaining weight in the front around the abdomen, and they feel weak and sluggish, particularly if they try to exercise, and they've been on a high sugar processed food diet. So that's the clue that maybe they have chromium deficiency because they've been on this, processed food diet. They have blood sugar issues, they have fatigue. So, chromium, it used to be chromium picolate is what used to be very popular in the old days. And then potassium deficiency. This potassium helps with fluid balance, muscle contractions, not muscle relaxing like the magnesium, and nerve signaling, and deficiencies can lead to complications with the heart, the muscles. The most common textbook sign of potassium deficiency, or let's just say, is swelling or edema. And of course, if you have swelling or edema, it could be kidney problems. It could be more complications with the organs, which herbs treat organs and systems, but potassium will help. And of course, you can't take too much potassium if you do have kidney failure because kidneys aren't able to process it. But tingling, numbness in the limbs, feeling dizzy, lightheaded upon standing, nausea, vomiting. But now all of these can have other causes. Another cause, of course, is many kind of medications, diuretics, a lot of diuretics that are sometimes given for high blood pressure. These can create a potassium deficiency. And then manganese. Manganese also has an important role in bone health and overall metabolism, and it's some antioxidant defenses, so to speak. And another sign is, weak muscles. You can see weak muscles, osteoporosis. So, a lot of times you can take these supplements together, calcium, magnesium, manganese, all together, like in a bone supporting supplement. So we're just kind of breaking them down individually. But manganese can also impair blood sugar regulation, and glucose intolerance, memory problems, cognitive problems, hearing problems, and ringing in the ears. So, anybody has ringing in the ears and some of these other symptoms like tremors, hair color loss of the color of hair, high cholesterol. If you have two or three of these together, plus brittle nails, and you have ringing in the ears, the manganese can, maybe be the cause of this deficiency. A good thing about vitamins, particularly if you're buying food-based vitamins, like I have here, then, they're harmless. They're not going to hurt you. I mean, there are some supplements, vitamins like vitamin A, you can take too much of. But for the majority of these, particularly if they're food-based, they're not going to hurt you. And then selenium deficiency. One of the signs of low immunity, weight gain, and high cholesterol, and depression. And even people with cancer, have been known to have low selenium deficiency, according to research, because selenium is very important for thyroid health. So your thyroid's not working good, then you get the fatigue, the weight gain, the hypothyroid symptoms, which are also cold to the body. So if you have a hypothyroidism, you shouldn't just be taking iodine. You should be also taking some selenium. And of course, there's many foods like Brazil nuts that have selenium. So selenium is important for your thyroid and your immunity and your muscle function. and can be, definitely can make a big difference if you're deficient in selenium. Now, vitamin A, of course, that was the first vitamin ever discovered. That's why it got A. That's the only reason they're called A, B, and C. It's the order which they discovered them. But apparently, even the Egyptians knew that eating carrots helped your eyesight. And that's one of the signs of vitamin A deficiency is difficulty seen in low light or night. And other eye issues like blurry vision, dry eyes. So almost anything you have to do with your eyes, you can always try taking some vitamin A. And of course, vitamin A is in cod liver oil. D, E, and A is in cod liver oil. So that's one reason I take it. Um, but it's vision is important, and also it's important for skin and for your immunity. But the main thing that we notice is these white spots on the eyes, blurry vision, difficulty seeing at night, and but also dry skin can be a factor. So, but it's the eyes. Whenever we have people with difficulty with eyesight, I have, of course, a formula for eyesight. There's herbal treatments for eyes, and just so happens some of these herbs are very high in vitamin A. Nobody knew. But then you can also take a natural food-based vitamin A, like I do in form of cod liver oil. And now we'll just go through these B vitamins a little quicker. Um, B1, uh, thiamine, for example, you know, this is very important for converting your food into energy, nerve function. But the textbook sign of somebody with the deficiency is usually like irritability, not just anxiety, because these B vitamins are very calming, and B vitamins are in grains, so that's why grains are calming food. People who've had trauma tend to want to eat a lot of bread and grains to stay calm and because they've been traumatized for whatever reason. So that all these B vitamins are supporting your nervous system. And you can get these B vitamins in grains and animal protein, but there are people who are not doing any animal protein and they're not doing any grains. So they're the ones generally with these B vitamin deficiencies. So, but one of the textbook signs of B1 is irritability, tingling, numbness, rapid heartbeat, but particularly the irritability we look for here. Um, and then riboflavin, B2, there's the textbook signs. These are like common signs that we look for, even though all of these B vitamins help with energy production. But riboflavin also helps with your vision, your skin health. But the textbook sign is sensitivity to bright lights. And even itchy skin. I read itchy skin. I've had clients who had skin problems, and I treated them with the herbs. I didn't get better, and I gave them a multi B vitamin. All the itching went away. Um, so it can really have something to do with your skin, but mostly you can get a B complex. So you see, I have a B complex here, also a food-based B complex, not a synthetic vitamin. There's only a few companies that do whole food vitamins. Mega Foods, Garden of Life, New Chapter, and the new one, Natrillo. See, that's a D3 food-based. Most of your 99% of all your vitamins are synthetic and not, necessary to be taking anymore because we have food-based ones. But it is another subject. But I just want to make that clear. When I say take B vitamins, I don't mean go down to the pharmacist and buy the cheap ones. You got to buy food-based supplements. Just type food-based B complex. Okay, so we'll continue with like niacin. Most common symptoms is again the skin in this case, any type of dermatitis, inflamed redness, scaly patches on the skin, any type. You just take more B vitamins, particularly the niacin. I have a special niacin here. Oh, here it is. And this is called a no rush niacin. Now, niacin can, if you've ever taken much, it kind of can make you flush red. So this is a no flush niacin. I wanted to try it, and it's true. I've popped a couple of them, and I don't get that red flush. They put a few amino acids in there, so I thought that was interesting. But any type of inflamed skin condition, see, we can give these B vitamins, but particularly niacin. And it helps not just skin health, but overall metabolism, and all these B vitamins are supporting the nervous system. And so deficiencies in B vitamins, numbness, tingling, burning in the hands. So eye sensitivity, rashes, these type of symptoms, even dementia, the person could benefit from more B vitamins, particularly niacin. And B5, muscle cramps, headaches, not as common, but people with malabsorption conditions like IBS and Crohn's, they're all going to have um, B vitamin deficiency, particularly B5. And it's very important, just like many of these are in energy production, hormones, healthy skin, and nerves. A lot of these B vitamins will help with the nervous system, the skin, and energy production. So that's why when you don't have them, you can have dry, itchy skin and sensitive, tingling nerves and feel tired. These are so if we look at B6, for example, again, the main sign, numbness, tingling in the hands and the feet, but also swelling on the tongue. That's one of the signs because we always in Ayurveda, we always look at people's tongues. And so swollen tongue and cracks on the corner of the mouth. This is an old textbook sign of B6 deficiency, cracks on the corner of the mouth and more skin issues, particularly eczema, we give B6. But generally we give, except for say niacin, you can just do a B complex. Just cover all these B vitamins. And I can't say it enough, don't buy cheap vitamins because cheap vitamins, particularly B vitamins, they put in a lot of B12, which can really jack you up. Um, and you know, B6, it helps with brain health, mood. So you'll be more without it, you'll be more depression, anxiety, mood swings, irritability. So people with these unstable moods, they're always going to do better with a B complex, particularly one B6 in this case. You really don't have to break these B vitamins down. You generally can take the B complex, except maybe a little B12 if you know your diet. You're a vegan or vegetarian diet. Maybe you want to take the B12 separately. And then, like me, I like to take the niacin separately to get me a little extra niacin. And clearly, this is one reason I haven't had colds or flus for decades is because of my vitamin intake. So, vitamins are more preventive, herbs are more therapeutic, treating. Once you have the serious health issue, these vitamins aren't going to reverse it, even though, if you watch YouTube, they give you that impression. But no, everybody's already been on YouTube, tried to take these vitamins for their health, and it's not going to reverse a condition. This is a very important point, but they're very preventive because if you have a nutritional deficiency, then this can affect your nervous system, your brain, your skin, even your DNA synthesis, your nerve function, red blood cell formation. So many things can be affected by the deficiency, and then the deficiency leads to the malfunction of the organ or the system in the body, and then this manifests in a disease. So taking vitamins is preventive. Once person has serious health issues, most cases I have them stop all the vitamins and just focus on the herbs to reverse the condition and help deliver the kidney, the gallbladder, the heart, whatever the serious health issue is. And once they recover, then I start going back and putting them on some supplements. And of course, at Tea, we have nutritional supplements that are food-based, like superfoods, weight loss superfood, uh, pitta superfood, which have chlorella, spirulina, wheatgrass, beetroot powder, other natural forms of vitamins, which you can just mix in water or milk every day, which is what I do. So I'm taking these food-based vitamins I'm talking about today, and I take my superfood, which is got the wheatgrass, barley grass, spirulina, chlorella in it, and it's the combination really is keeping me healthy, strong, great immunity, never getting sick. Just went right through that freaking pandemic, didn't even phase me, and that's due to these supplements, plus these herbs. I take herbs for immunity too at certain times. So let's move on to B12, very common, particularly with vegans and vegetarians, and also anybody with serious digestive issues can be short in B12, and a lot of medications like protein pump inhibitors and metformin will deplete a person in B12. So if you're on metformin, generally, and you're weak and you're tired and you have, which is fatigue is one of the most common symptoms of B12, from a restrictive diet. So a person's overweight. They don't want to eat a bunch of meat, trying to lose weight. They don't want to have dairy. They're trying to lose weight. So they become a vegan. Now they're on metformin because they have high blood sugar and they're tired all the time. I mean, that's textbook B12 deficiency. We've got the causes, the diet, and the medication. And then we have the symptoms like fatigue, weakness. And of course, B12 helps with nerve function and red blood cell formation. So you can also, and the nerve function, so you get more numbness, tingling. But again, if you get the numbness and tingling and peripheral neuropathy, you just take a whole B complex. But if you're on a metformin and a vegan, then take an extra B12. And again, little sores on the corners of the mouth or inside the mouth or swollen tongue. These are other textbook signs of this B vitamin deficiency. Now let's move on from the B vitamins, because usually you can, like I said, you can just take a complex. Vitamin C deficiency. One of the textbook signs is bleeding gums, easy bruising, and nosebleeds. See, these are the ones that I'm just looking for when I'm diagnosing people, because I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. So I'm diagnosing, looking at your eyes, looking at your wrinkles on your skin, looking at your tongue, looking at your fingernails. But I'm also looking for nutritional deficiencies at the same time. And we get a lot of vitamin C deficiencies because people are scared to have fruit. So no fruit diet. People with eating disorders and restrictive diets, or even just poor diets, like you're having a lot of junk food, which without a lot of fruits and vegetables, these people will have these, persistent infections, easy, poor wound healing, low immunity. And the textbook signs are, like I mentioned, bleeding gums, easy bruising, and nosebleeds. So, and vitamin C also helps with collagen production. But the main one that we're looking at with vitamin C is immune function. There, I've got a big vitamin C right there, a food-based one, not made of ascorbic acid. Food made from food. See a little picture of the citrus there, and of course it costs more, but much safer than buying these chemical-based supplements. So you'd be surprised how many people have vitamin C deficiencies, but it's easy to pick up on in my case when I'm meeting with my patients, because I ask them to detail out their diet. And when I don't see the fruit, then I'm suspicious already. Vitamin D deficiency, probably the most common deficiency. It really should be called sunlight deficiency. And today I did like 2 hours of outdoor sun tanning with oil on my body. And it really helps the immunity. In the old days before antibiotics, people used to sunbathe to get rid of infections, even like tuberculosis. They didn't know what to do with these people that were infected with skin problems and serious infections. They just made them sunbathe every day. And they didn't know why, but now we know why, because that builds up the vitamin D. And so anybody getting of course, textbook signs of vitamin D deficiency are degenerative bones, muscle cramps, and depression, seasonal affective disorder, they call it SAD. And this is for people who live in climates where there's not much sun, and then they feel sad and depressed because they're not getting sun. So they have to take vitamin D. But again, don't take the synthetic vitamin D. You need to get a food-based. See right there, it says plant-based. Don't get the D3. It's a chemical. It's not natural. So, and most of us, except for, unless you're like me, getting a good, hour of sun every day. I get a little in the morning, I get a little in the evening, but in the wintertime, I may not get enough. And that's when I take my D3 and our D. And of course, the best source of D, which I take all winter long, is in cod liver oil. It's got the D, E, and A all together, right straight from the cod and fish. And that is the one, I think, the best source. Because, D3 D, E, and A are all fat soluble, and they're coming in a fat soluble form. Those little sublinguals, D, that you drop on your tongue, don't take those. Those are chemical based. But D is very important for bone health, immunity, and mood. And mood. So you get this kind of depression when you're not getting enough D vitamins, which really we should call sunlight vitamin. Vitamin E um, is helping with your immunity and skin health and eye health. So again, if we see people with um, rough, dry, flaky skin, and also wounds that aren't healing. So itchy and rashes, but wounds that don't heal. This is one of the signs of this type of deficiency, non-healing wounds. And who gets it? One of the causes are low-fat diets, because E being fat soluble, and you're not getting. Another reason why I do the cod liver oil, because you got the D, E, and the A. But cholesterol-lowering drugs like statins, um, and there's other fat blocking medications. These will lead to vitamin D deficiency. So if I know somebody's on a statin, they're on a low fat diet, they have dry, itchy skin, and they have wounds that aren't healing, that's it. I don't need a test. No. Um, that's a vitamin E deficiency. And iodine, of course, many people are familiar with iodine. The textbook sign is a goiter, swelling in the neck due to enlarged thyroid. And, you can see if you have it, you just get some water, hold your head back, and then swallow and look and see if you see the goiter. If you don't see it, that's good. If you see a big lump there and it's not your Adam's apple from case of men, then this means you could be low in iodine. And one of the main causes of thyroid malfunction or hypothyroidism is iodine deficiency. So unfortunately, the doctor will just put you on thyroid replacement therapy, but you could just have a iodine deficiency. So I didn't bring iodine here, but iodine, I do have it. And, pregnant women can have a deficiency. Breastfeeding women can have deficiency. This is typical for the woman, may need extra, but mostly hypothyroidism with a goiter. Then you take the iodine 100% because it's helping with thyroid function, metabolism, even brain development. And iron deficiency, of course, this creates basically anemia. So any woman who's having heavy menstrual bleeding will almost guaranteed have iron deficiency, and that's why they feel fatigued and have low energy and weakness and exhaustion, particularly if they try to do physical activities after menstruation. It's just too much menstrual bleeding. So it's less common with men, but you could have ulcerative colitis where there's like an internal bleeding inside of your colon, and even a little bleeding inside of your colon can lead to iron deficiency. But this is usually picked up in your blood work, and you can see it from paleness. The skin is pale, the tongue is pale. That's the textbook sign, pale. And if you look under the eyelids, it's pale. There's no red blood vessels. So you can basically look at a person underneath their eyes and see that they're anemic. It's very easy to self-diagnose. So of course, iron's essential for hemoglobin production, which, carries the oxygen throughout the body. So it's very, very important. And if you don't have this, you feel tired and weak. Last is zinc. And zinc, of course, is most famous for immune function. And during the winter, I always take a little extra, but it also helps with wound healing. So people with, easy to get infections, wounds aren't healing, also night blindness, sometimes diarrhea, loose stools can create it. And again, it's the vegans, vegetarians who are more likely to get it. And people with some chronic health conditions like even diabetes and even many liver diseases can end up with zinc deficiency. And, people with acne, we generally give them a zinc as well. People with low immunity, we give them zinc. Little spots on the nails, we can give them zinc. Low immunity, even men for sperm production, can benefit from zinc. So zinc's a very good one. If you buy supplements for men, see a lot of them, we'll buy multivitamin for men, and there's always a little extra zinc in there for the men. And then when you buy it for the woman, there's a little extra iron in there. And if you're over, and then for women over 50, they don't put in the irons. It's the differences they do in these supplements. So um, I encourage all of you to, you know, evaluate your nutritional status, and don't rely just on the doctor, because if you go to the doctor, they're going to check for iron, of course, in your blood work, and now D vitamin they're checking for, but a lot of these vitamins they're not checking for, particularly because they're water soluble and they're changing day to day. You see people that do a lot of fasting and restrictive diets, they end up with the deficiencies. So, if you're a water soluble vitamin like B vitamins, it only lasts 3, 4 hours in your body. So if you're fasting all day, by the end of the day, you're out of B vitamins and you can create more anxiety, nervousness, nerve issues. So, you have to know what you're doing, how long to fast, when to fast. And there's other ways to fast by just, even having herbal teas with some nutrients in it to keep you going. I have a weight loss superfood that's got all the vitamins in it. So instead of fasting on nothing, they tell people just take the weight loss superfood so you can fast longer and not create deficiencies. I always tell people for losing weight, it's easy to lose weight. Just starve yourself. And that's unfortunately what a lot of people do. It's the crude and easy way to lose weight is just don't eat, and of course a lot of women, they're just picking away at salads because they don't want to gain any weight, and people do radical diets and fast a lot. But the problem is you create nutritional deficiencies, and then nutritional deficiencies will lead to some of these other problems like the skin problems, the low immunity, low libido, and etc. Low poor eyesight. So then you start getting all these secondary problems because you've been starving yourself to death so you can have a six pack. um, and there's excesses too. Nowadays, of course, people do excess nutrients. Like a lot of people do excess protein to build muscles. Men in the gym are building, taking a lot of protein powders, and of course, this creates high uric acid. This can create gout, gouty arthritis, and of course, high protein diets can lead to kidney failure. So there are people doing excess, and people do excess B12 a lot of times. A lot of times people, they have heart racing hard, and then I look at their supplements and they got the B12's got like 3,500% of the daily allowance of B12. So this is jacking them up and making their heart race. And, then they're going, and then they're thinking they have a cardiovascular problem, and it's coming from these synthetic vitamins that are just too strong. So, I could give another talk on excess nutrients, which we do see today in the Western world, where we can take too many supplements and too many cheap synthetic supplements. Like people can be taking a protein powder with a bunch of synthetic vitamins in it. Then they're taking a bunch of other little synthetic vitamins. And so they're getting their B12 on like 2 or 3 sources. So now they're taking 5, 10,000% of B12. And people even were taking, and then they're all jacked up and they can't sleep and their heart's racing. And then, but they like it because they get the energy from it. So it's a little bit of a false energy. That's why these supplement companies like to put in a lot of B12, because they know people feel the energy and feel better after taking it. But you have to be careful with these synthetic vitamins and taking too much. That's why I do the food-based ones. Food-based ones, they're not as strong. They're just safer. They're made from fruits and vegetables or cod liver oil in the particular case. And they're just not going to harm you. You still have to be careful. You don't want to take too much cod liver oil because of vitamin A, and there is vitamin A toxicity because it accumulates in your liver. But I've seen a lot of people take too much vitamin D. In fact, I review people's blood work, and sometimes the vitamin D is off the charts, and that's when people are just popping too many of these synthetic D3s. And that can be a problem too. I mean, the D helps you absorb calcium, but if you take too much, it makes all of your joints stiff. And that's the way D3 kills rats, by the way. You can get D3, put in some cheese, and rat eats it. He dies because all of his it builds calcium so fast in the rat that all of his spine just welds together. He can't move and he dies. But people who ate too much D3, they can get this stiffness in their joints where the bones are growing too fast. So you do have to be careful. And it's only in a Western society where we have these excesses of supplements. But we also have a lot of deficiency because of, fad diets, extreme diets, and, our desire to, be thin. So I hope this helped you understand that, believe me, everybody's got nutritional deficiencies, but they can come and go. And this is why you should eat a wide variety of foods and shouldn't restrict yourself. Never leave out an entire food category. I mean, you need some form of grain. It doesn't have to be wheat. It could be millet. It could be buckwheat. It could be amaranth, but some grain, not some form of wheat, some grain. You need it because the grains have a lot of these B vitamins. They have a lot of the fiber. And if you're going to be a vegetarian, you have to know what you're doing. Basically, if you're going to be a vegetarian, you have to have the beans. You can't be a vegetarian without the beans, which people try to do. And if you're going to be a vegetarian, you should just have a secondary source of protein and fat, and that is the dairy. So, that's why the vegan diet isn't healthy. Vegetarian diet can avoid a lot of health problems if you know what you're doing. But you should have vegetables in every meal. All three meals should have vegetables, and you should have some fruit, a little bit of fruit every single day. And it should be a wide variety, And of course, if you're just eating fast food and processed food and junk food, you're definitely going to have nutritional deficiencies. So first thing is go to Whole Foods, just real vegetables, real fruit, real grains, real animal protein, real dairy. And anytime you leave one of those out, you're risking a nutritional deficiency. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this helps you understand the importance of good nutrition for preventing health issues. And if you need help in assessing your nutritional deficiencies, feel free to contact my office and do an appointment with me. And I can diagnose your nutritional deficiencies, not by blood work, even though this can help, particularly for some, but by symptoms and causes. Thank you very much once again.